Don in London, hello. February the 4th, 2013, my video is all about recovery from addiction to either substance or behaviour. My addictive substance, alcohol, my behaviour, equally addictive around people, places and things, and trying to be perfect and never so. And I got into awful trouble with alcohol in the end. It turned out to be something which helped me be convivial and joyful. And then it turned out to be my best friend, always there when things were going right or things were going wrong. So from conviviality to it being my best friend, and then my worst enemy on a daily basis, because I couldn't stop drinking and life had gone down the shitter, basically. Life was crap. And I needed help. And I was reluctant, stubborn and defiant. I didn't want to try and get help with this thing that was killing me. I thought my self-will would will out, but it didn't. It ran out. And I needed help. So in the end I got some professional help with what ailed me, an inability to stop drinking, got dry in one sense, but I needed help to maintain it and try and make life happen again. So I was completely broken, and then the help came when it was suggested I go to a fellowship called AA, Alcoholics Anonymous. I never speak for AA because, like every other person in the fellowship, I have the right to speak where I will, and if you're in fellowship you know this. You have the right to speak where you will, and we all have those rights. Nothing is taken away from us. We are part of a fellowship, Anonymous, which provides sanctuary to find out the truth of how to live life. Again, I was never anonymous, so it was not an issue to me, and I was asked to make these videos to help with people who had no idea about fellowship or what it might do for them. Simply open up the door to a new life, one day at a time, of course, and then some principles which work, called the 12 steps, and something which holds the whole show together is the 12 traditions. So 12 steps to be open, honest and willing to change life as life is changing, and then 12 traditions to hold the fellowship in unity, service and recovery. So I feel completely comfortable about speaking about my recovery anywhere, if I choose to, and it's personal choice. So we have suggestions, and then we have anonymity, sanctuary, to find out your spiritual way forward, living life, feeling life in the moment of now, coping with it, and if you're not coping with it, asking for help from all the right sources, inside and outside fellowship. So the AA preamble which I share is to calm me into the moment of now, and it's very familiar to anyone who goes to meetings of AA, and completely new if you have an inkling you may wish to stop drinking or a desire to stop. So this is the AA preamble shared at every meeting I go to. Alcoholics Anonymous is a fellowship of men and women who share their experience, strength and hope with each other, that they may solve their common problem and help others to recover from alcoholism. The only requirement for membership is a desire to stop drinking. There are no dues or fees for AA membership. We are self-supporting through our own contributions. AA is not allied with any sect, denomination, politics, organisation or institution, does not wish to engage in any controversy, neither endorses nor opposes any causes. But as an individual you can do all of those things, because why else would you want your freedom back? So within fellowship we keep it to this. Our primary purpose is to stay sober and help other alcoholics to achieve sobriety. And my sobriety is contingent on my spiritual condition, which is able to cope with my feelings today as they are, as I'm experiencing life. Am I coping? Great. If I'm not coping, ask for help. So that's how it works for me. It's very simple, but I can make it so complicated. So February the 4th, my thoughts and feelings, and I'm having to do February 3, 4 and 5 all in one day. I got a little bit behind because I suffered a dislocation with reality. I was invited to do something which upset me, and it was my upset, not the person asking me. And February is all about step 2 for me, which is about being restored to sanity. And part of being restored to sanity is being restored to sanity on a daily basis, where I can invite myself back into the madness of the old life, not drinking, but the things I used to do which led to drinking and disillusionment. So this is for yesterday. I wrote it yesterday, but I did not feel up to doing a video, and that's perfectly acceptable. Some days maybe I ought to really look at my own needs more clearly, and this weekend proved it to me. The weekend just gone. All about sanity. Where is my higher power? If it's not inside me, this thing of came to believe I could be restored to sanity by a higher power, or came to believe a higher power could restore me to sanity. What is the higher power? And why can I be part of the higher power solution for other people? So often we think we know the answers, and we know what the solutions ought to be, and we find that the rest of the world is not cooperating and does not understand how reasonable we are in our demands. And why can I help other people and find it so difficult to help myself? Well, if I could help myself, I wouldn't have needed fellowship, would I? But life, generally life requires interaction with something or other, people, places and things. A lot of the time we have life experience which leads us to expectations and conclusions based on all the things that have happened in the past. Recovery is about breaking the old patterns, the old expectations and the old resentments coming back to haunt us. Dealing with human beings needs to start with humility, equality, and how to access their power to help with the issues that we face. So it's a lot to do with how do we ask for help. If we demand, we shut down our options to the demands we make. So if we've got a single issue and we're demanding about it selfishly, it's highly unlikely that people are willing to come and talk to us about it. We make life impossible for ourselves, and we can make life impossible for those from whom we seek help and support. Can you help me please, rather than I need you to help me, I want you to help me. And declaring a need and want is not asking, it is telling someone. When we are telling people things they need or should do for us, we take away their power and most likely create a resentment in them about what we want and what we need. So it's like saying my issue is the only issue on the planet. In reality, we are just one of many with issues on the planet, and asking for help is, please, anyone out there who can help me, is better than saying I need help and I want it now. So dealing with people in this world is being treated as we would expect them to treat us. Or is it? How do we get the best out of ourselves and other people in any situation? Well, by asking with humility and equality. So simply asking for help with humility and equality. So it's not demanding it at all. And it's not demanding rights and responsibilities either. Resentments come quickly when the world does not react and respond as quickly as we feel it ought to do. We are no different to anyone else on the planet, and sometimes we are in a queue, and sometimes people just don't have the power to help us. Even though chief executives may have a telephone answering system which is superb from their point of view, in other words, calls don't get through to the chief executive of the company that's pissing you off. What you get is a customer service department of one trying to service millions of people. Now that's wrong. But how do you deal with it? Well, there are many ways. So sometimes we're in a queue, and sometimes people just don't have the power to help us. Even though they may have the power to help us, we can shut that power down very quickly by our own attitudes and our own behaviour. Past experience may drive expectations in us, and therefore resentments under construction. Why don't they help me? So we start negative and make everything around us negative, and we have this ability ingrained very deeply when the world has been knocking us to pieces over the years. So we may have real grumbles that the world never helped us and looked down on us, or we looked up at it. Whatever it wasn't equal. So today's solution: can you help me please? I don't know what you can do and what you can't do. I would really like to know what you can do, and especially know the cannot do bit. So if you can't do it, I can find the right help from the right people in the right place. So it's just, I just want to accept that sometimes, I might be talking to the wrong person. And when we get a solution, it will not be perfect, and it will not be to the standard that we might expect. Reality is living life on life's terms, not an expectation you have formed of people, places and things. So just because you've got rights doesn't mean they're going to happen. The more you expect them, the more they are likely to fail you. You will make the problem bigger because you still want and demand the impossible, which is that being the perfect solution which suits you. So life ain't like that. It's not like that in recovery, and it's certainly not like that when we're interacting with the world around us. So we need to know it's not going to be the perfect solution that we need right now. Go with the flow, ask for help and accept it, and then work on the next bit and ask for help, and work on the next bit and ask for help. Step 2 is all about doing the same old and expecting a perfect result. When it all failed in the past, it made you fear the next outcome, and then fear drives our demands and wants, which can never be resolved to your own high standards or my high standards. Ask yourself how good you have been in delivering the solutions you promised, and how perfect were they. How many times have you let other people down? And if you look closely at your own behaviour and what you are doing today, how much of the same old are you doing right now? Try something new. Ask for help with humility, not to catch people out, although that probably happens, and that they're completely imperfect. But if you start with that, just ask yourself, how perfect are you? Just because you know doesn't mean you can do. Yeah. Not to catch them out, just to find out what they can do and what is in their power to do, and then you power them up to do it in the same way, in the time that they can. It will never happen perfectly. I know this, because I'm far from perfect, and what I've learned is some of my disabilities emotionally from PTSD, which I wish I didn't have. Indeed, I would deny I have it sometimes, but I do have it, and it does stop me from producing when you want things from me, and it stops me producing things when I want to do them. And put type 1 diabetes on top and clinical depression, and you get a bit of the understanding of why sometimes videos don't come out on the day that maybe I would plan them to do. Yes, it will never happen perfectly when it comes to people, places and things, because life is developing and it is far from perfect. It is simply imperfectly perfect in the ever-present moment of now. So, can I be part of the higher power? The simple answer is yes and no. Depending on my attitudes and behaviour, I can help people when they ask, and I have the necessary experience to suggest something and share wisdom, if I have the wisdom. I need to make sure my wisdom is solution-based and not making the problem bigger by joining in with the problem and saying how bad life is. And sometimes just because we know we have rights, legal rights based on the Charter of Human Rights from the United Nations, it doesn't mean it's going to happen that way. Because people are learning from moment to moment what their rights and responsibilities are. And often people are in positions of power and they don't understand their responsibilities. When people say that, so suggestions which work are positive and are from our experience of doing new things. When people say that our power works through people, they are right. And when we can be part of the solution, when we are helping our fellows, we need to understand the positive actions and suggestions we can make to improve outcomes. I am not the higher power, but sometimes I am part of a power greater, far greater than me, which is fellowship, or simply being with a group of friends, and we hear something and we make a suggestion based on the wisdom we know that works, rather than say, oh, how awful it is, isn't it, which is making the problem bigger and worse, and putting a person in a place of resentment, A, because they can't make it work, and B, because no one's helping them. I was watching a TV documentary on quantum physics yesterday. Yeah, quantum physics. Who would have thunk it? Which suggests every atom in the universe is connected to every other atom in the universe. And it was all around a great big diamond on the table in front of the professor explaining what quantum physics can and cannot do. And that indeed in the universe there are diamonds not only as big as the one on the table, which was a hefty big £1 million or whatever number of euros, say $2 million, just for the sake of argument, $2 million diamond or a €2 million diamond on the table, and it can hold it in between your fingers and thumb. But in the universe, absolutely, there are diamonds as big as planets out there. So why do we put so much value in them? Well, good reasons. Because emotionally we have value in them. So, over the lifetime of the universe, it is likely that every atom does connect in some way with another atom. Quantum physics can define and predict when these connections will be made, which in some cases, atom to atom this is, far longer than the existing universe has been around. So eventually, somehow or other, because of the quantum physics and the mathematics behind it, eventually every atom will have had some connection with every other atom already has in some way. But that's going to take billions of years. So quantum physics can define and predict when these connections will be made, which in some cases is far longer than the existing universe has been around. The good news for human beings, we are nearer together and far more connected day to day than all the atoms in the universe. So we don't have to wait for billions of years to get help. A bit like quantum physics, quantum humans are closer and are available if we ask for help in the right way, at the right time and in the right place, because all we have is today. So I got a bit more positive, I have to say, yesterday from my little journey into history for all the right reasons. We all have good reasons to revisit history, or we start doing a bit of historical wisdom using, which is not good for us and creates a connection back to a flashback of old times, which were not very nice. Mine always nearly always work oriented, always took on the big stuff, and I don't know that anyone ought to have taken on the big stuff. I remember hearing a senior executive say, when asked, "Bob, I know you can do that, and I'm looking forward to you doing it." And you know what he said? It was a shocker to me. He just said, "Actually, I don't feel like doing it." And everybody in the room, a full room of loads and loads of people, juniors, I was a junior in this particular project intention. And the main man who was being asked to head it up said, "I just don't feel like it." And I was confounded. I'd never experienced a senior manager turning down what was, a project which was worthy of being done because they didn't feel like it. And he didn't. So I learned something there, which was, well, I would have done it, was my first reaction. But I didn't have the competence to do it, and actually neither did he, and that was the reason why I didn't feel like doing it, because it was a project designed to fail. It wasn't designed to go anywhere, it was just to break something to smithereens so something else could be reconstructed, and he didn't feel like doing it, and he was right. in my humble opinion. Anyway, the good news is these are the things that we learn in recovery, the can do, can't do, and the serenity prayer, which helps me in any moment of now learn the can do and can't do to get back to serenity, which is exploring the insanity of my old life yet again and wishing I hadn't, but at the same time needing to make certain that going backwards is not going forwards. So just because you can do something doesn't mean you ought to be doing it, or you should be doing it just because you could do it. So can do, can't do, that's serenity prayer. Don't forget you've only got one life in the moment of now, and each day is about living and coping and being happy if we can be. To God, or just simply to good, the wisdom of the higher power, which is all around us in people, if we choose to ask for help. God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. In the moment, in the hour, backwards and forwards sometimes, in the moment, in the minute, in the hour, just for one day.